What's going on, everybody? Anthony here, Paulie with me. Welcome back to Badum Biz. Hey, Paul.
Hey man, what's going on? It's been a while.
It's been a while. Not much, man. We are probably the hottest 2 days of the year. Like,
Yeah, I am
whew.
not used to this at all. And I'm actually a warm weather Irish guy. I like the warm weather, but I like about 2 days of this and then a little bit of a thunderstorm. I just clean it out, but
Oh yeah,
it's been a bit much. But it's okay.
yeah.
We'll take it.
Over 100, right? I think we got to like 102, 103 yesterday or something like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It got crazy. I will say I would rather have this. I'd rather have a hotter summer than a colder winter any
Oh
day.
fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
I would go a year
Hmm.
straight every day with this weather.
Oh yeah.
5 years straight if I never have to have a cold winter again.
Oh my God, right.
That's how much
We're
I
in
hate
the wrong
winter.
place.
But I'm a scrawny guy, you know what I mean? Like it's hard to get warm, and I guess as I get older, it's going to get harder to get warm.
Yeah, you're
So
not wrong. You need a good woman to keep you warm, man.
one day you're going to find me in my house, in my home, and I'm just an icicle.
It's holding a pair of drumsticks.
And then they're just chiseling me. They're like, I think
Yeah.
he's still breathing. Yeah,
Yeah, but you're not going to be found until like we've got giant bulbous heads and like
that's
we're
right.
we're hairless bulbous headed humanoids, and then they're going to find you in like an apartment in Belleville, and just like there's going to be archaeology done on you. You're going to be in a museum. You're going to be called the drumming man or
But
something like
but
that.
but the but who's going to dig me up is like a bunch of Alexas. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean?
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah, yeah.
humanoid Alexas or something
That's
like
right.
that.
Yeah,
What you
totally.
drinking, Paul?
I'm actually drinking Smithwick's now. Let me tell you a
Mmm.
little something about Smithwick's.
Love Smithix.
Smithwick's is a red ale made in Ireland.
Mm.
It's brewed in Kilkenny, and it was the drink of my uncle Sean. And he used to drink when we used to go on holidays or vacation. He used to drink a Smithwick's shandy, and I always, ever since I was young, I was always intrigued by the. I don't know if you can see that here in the light, but it's a red color. It's a
Yeah.
ruby red color, and it's very good. And I don't know if there's any listeners out there that drink beer or ale, but this is one of the better ones. It's
Smithix
very good.
Shandy?
It's Smith. He used to drink Smithwick's shandy. I drink it straight.
What is Shandy, by the way?
Shandy is so in Ireland we call lemonade. What we call lemonade in Ireland, you guys would call Sprite. Um,
Okay.
Lemon. We don't have your lemonade in Ireland. We just have Sprite, and that's what we call lemonade. So Smithwick's shandy would be about let me see, three-quarters of the pint glass would be filled with Smithwick's from the tap, and then
Okay.
the rest would be topped off with Sprite. Basically,
Oh,
that's a
I see.
Smithwick's
Okay.
shandy. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, a little bit more refreshing, a little bit less alcohol. He was probably driving, so he could only have like 15 or 16 of those. Ireland in the
Had to
80s,
cut
can't
it a
beat
little
it.
bit, right?
Yeah, right. Fun times. No, for the record, my uncle Sean was a very responsible man. He he
For the
he
record.
was he's a very safe driver, and he never drinks and drives. So there you go.
I believe you.
Yeah.
So, Paulie, we're here today. We're going to talk about some. I mean, we could talk for 3 hours about the gear we like, but I'm more concerned of why we like the gear. I mean, we've
Hmm.
had conversations with. I mean, hours upon hours of conversation with like Rich, for instance, about
Sure.
why to use certain gear, and a lot of it. Correct me if I'm or if you disagree, but a lot of the reasons we all share is it serves the music first, number one, but
Right.
but like as deep as like the room that we're in too,
Hmm.
like it really covers all bases of serving as a musician,
Yeah.
right? And what would be appropriate, and so like the first thing that I think of as a drummer, and drummers, I imagine drummers will, pro drummers will agree with, is like having like cymbals that don't bleed into mics, for instance. So like hammered cymbals that maybe they have like a color to them, but they're not ultra bright and shimmery, right? They have they maybe decay a little shorter, or the decay is a little shorter, and it's like maybe even thinner. I really like thin cymbals. But if you're on stage at, an arena or in a stadium, you better have some thick ass cymbals that are bright, that'll cut. I think that, yeah, I mean, I think that that's direct. I don't know. This is a whole other topic, but I think the cymbal thickness thing. I noticed that drummers in the last decade, the thicknesses of the cymbals, and then what the market has been producing because there's a huge calling for it are thinner cymbals. I think that's directly related to uh, guitarists and bassists using smaller amps, like not stacks.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think one of the things that I was gonna like start with was being a bass player and a drummer myself and you. There is a certain amount of gear now you have to have
Yeah.
as a drummer and a bass player. I mean, you can't like you're right you got to be appropriate for the gig, but
Yep.
you can't show up to like a wedding gig as a bass player with a 100-watt amp. You have to have something a little bit more, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So having the appropriate amount of gear for the gig is good, but the thing about being a bass player or a drummer is your gear needs to change more than any other member of an ensemble. I mean, if you're a horn player, you just bring your horn and there's a mic for you.
Yep.
Guitar player will have 150-watt amp and that will do everything. Every instance. Keyboard players, DI'd, everything. The drummer and the bass player, their rigs expand and contract, or you, as a bass player, you bring a different amp based on the situation.
Yep.
But speaking of drummers, I think the cymbal thing is very important because it's not just what type of cymbals you use, it's where you place them, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
if you're a mindful drummer, I mean, one of the reasons that I enjoy playing with you is you're a mindful drummer. Your cymbals are quite low in your setup
Hmm.
because you understand that if it's at head height, it's just, I mean, it's
Well,
just getting everything
well,
right.
you're giving me too much credit. I'm actually just a lazy piece of shit.
I thought you were just being nice to your band members, but the thing I think the most important thing and the one thing that I listen out for when I'm playing with a new drummer is actually the hi-hats, and for a very good reason.
Yep.
And it's got nothing to do with being a sound guy. It's just about sharing a stage with somebody. It's the piece of percussive equipment that's hit the most that is not creating a beat. So the kick drum and the snare drum, you got the beat and you got the backbeat. They're creating the beat, but the hi-hats are keeping the drummer in time and keeping the band in time.
Hmm.
Man, if I'm on a gig with somebody who's got a really nice sounding set of hi-hats, I'm just happy. But sometimes you get on a gig and the guy's hi-hats are just awful, and you just have to hear it all night long.
And
It's
what's
crazy.
wild is that drummer could be good.
Yeah.
Like I've seen plenty of really good drummers who are playing with gear on a gig that does not match the room, does not fit the room.
Yeah.
And like when you're experienced and you also I think when you play for a long time and especially in the creative of writing and producing music, you can hear what something can sound like, the potential, right?
Yeah.
So in that moment, you're like, "Oh, this would sound so fucking good if this
Right.
guy was using like just more relaxed, smoother cymbals, for instance, that were
Sure.
because it's just cutting everything."
Yeah.
And then there's like a domino effect of cause and effect. Like the drummer. All right, the drummer's playing with these piercing cymbals. What's the guitar player gonna do? What's
It's
the
same
vocalist gonna
space,
do?
right? Yeah, the same
You know?
space. That's the one night that brings that to mind is the night we played in Torrington, and there was a really good rock band played last, but they were very, very loud.
Yeah.
And it's one of the experiences I've had with, and I'm sure listeners have this experience all the time. If you're at a loud gig, there's that where that crash cymbal lives,
Mm-hmm.
and the top end of the guitar and the vocals. There's a frequency range there, but when that gets loud, it's just
Yep.
unbearable.
Yep.
So and actually somebody came up to us or band after that and was like, you guys volume control is really good. There's a certain weight that you need to hit it to make a drum sound good, but there's also a really good quality to playing within. You don't have to hit it as hard as you possibly can.
Not at all. Oh
Yeah,
my God! I tell this to my students, especially the younger ones who, like you have to when they come in with this like, you know, ape shit hitting the drums hard kind of thing,
sure.
like with their arms. And it's because it's visual; they've seen it. Once they're old enough and you can kind of tell them like to reel that in, you tell them like, hey, listen, these drums are already loud. In fact, drums only come in loud.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? So there's
They're
no
designed to
small,
be.
there's no medium, only
Hmm.
big size, right? So it's, and then you just tell them, so if you just hit the drum regular, it's loud enough. So then, and then where you sell them with that is because they want to go fast. So if you're hitting hard, you can't go fast. So if you hit regular, you're still going to be loud and you're going to be wicked fast.
Sure.
And it's so true. And there's an argument to be made about a guy like Dave Weckl, right?
Okay.
Like Dave Weckl. I would say that Dave Weckl is one of those drummers that he is so good that sometimes I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to listen. He's
Really?
well because
He's too
the,
good.
here's the thing. His it's like the music is centered. His music is centered, or in his band is centered around his playing.
Okay.
Kind of. But even like the shit that he plays is just played with such a precision and like a smoothness that it makes you think it almost sounds fake. If that makes like it was programmed. He's that perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But here's
That's how I feel about Brian May. When I listen to Queen's music, I listen to Brian May, and I'm like, he has to have done this in like multiple takes. It's just too perfect.
it's perfect, and
Yeah, I
like there's
mean,
no slight to these guys.
yeah, of course, yeah.
It's the biggest compliment because, but to go back to what I was saying, me as a biased musician with a particular ear and taste, maybe don't want to listen to him play, but if you put him soloing for 10 minutes on a stage of random people and many of them non-musicians, they would enjoy it
Yeah,
because he's playing wicked fast stuff, smooth, and it's not piercing. He
yeah,
he is so dynamic.
sure.
And anyway, that was a tangent from gear, but
Yeah. So let's have a look there now. I'm just looking at your kit now, and I know people are every now and then you'll get a gear nerd on. Um, so we got you use four drums typically. That's the most I think I've seen you use. You use a snare drum, you use a rack tom, a floor tom, and then your kick drum.
I have two extras next to me though.
You have a snare, you have a spare snare, right?
Yep. And then I have a little mini guy. So
Okay.
I actually, and then this floor tom here
Hmm.
is also it also has snares, so I could turn them on and
Oh,
off.
the floor tom has snares.
Excuse
Let
me.
me hear that.
Yeah. So here's the floor tom by itself, right? And here's so
Ah,
it's like it's got this fatness and the way I mix it in the room, it's like it's got that fucking 80s
sure.
like thing, but even fatter, and you hear it in the room. I put a little tail on it, like
Yeah.
it's cool. But I technically have four snares on the kit.
Okay, so
So
you four snares, right?
here's the main one, right? I have this little drier, fatter one over here. You know what I mean?
That's a very scooped sounding snare.
Yeah,
That's cool. It's
for
for
sure.
disco or whatever, yeah.
And then I have this little little thing. You know what I mean?
That's cool for like Latin music or something like that would be good.
I use it for
Even reggae.
trap hip hop stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's got that like all that bullshit like 808.
What's the diameter of that one?
This is 8-inch by 3, 8 by 3,
Wow.
and
Crazy.
this turns on and off too. I can, so
It
Yeah,
almost sounds like a woodblock. It's crazy. It's good.
it's cool, right? And I
Yeah.
consider this to be a snare. Talk about my favorite
So
gear.
yeah,
Oh,
your metal rack, your brass rack, or your bronze rack, whatever it is, you've got pretty large hi hats.
yeah. And you talked about. Um, I want to bring it back to when you talked about somebody using a nice set of hi hats. So, like, I've discovered this through just observation of watching drummers online, specifically guys who record
Mm,
for a living, and I've noticed that the guys that get the best sounding hi hat sound, all of them use thinner cymbals and they use a bigger set of like hi hat
sure.
cymbals. So these are
Yeah.
15-inch
Oh
and they're
wow.
thin. In fact,
Yeah.
they're so thin. I'm using a top hi hat on the bottom, and I'm
Okay.
using the same size crash, but it's a crash cymbal, so it's
On top.
thinner.
Okay.
It's not a hi hat cymbal; it's a crash cymbal on top, and I get like this crispier. It's really just kind of buttery and smooth.
Sure. Yeah.
It's easier to mix.
Hmm.
It sits really well, nicely in the mix. And then I have these little tiny here.
So that's another set of hi hats, a smaller set of hi hats.
Yep,
But it's fused, right? You have that set to fused.
I can uh, I can adjust it.
Okay. Depending on what the song needs. But
Yeah,
that's not a controllable one other than what you're doing with your hand. You're just
pretty much.
loosening the nut.
Yeah,
All right, and symbol wise, then you've got the clapper, right?
the clapper.
The clapper, right? Which is two or three cymbals fused together, right?
Yeah, I mean they're just what they did was that usually cymbals are molded to have a center bell,
Mm,
right, and then and then it has like a profile. Sometimes the profile's higher,
yeah.
so it looks more like a bowl. Sometimes
Hmm.
it's flat. It's on the flatter side. These no bell, and they're actually like the profile is bent on one side,
Okay.
right? So then there's I think it's 11 on top, 13 below that, and 15 below that, and they literally sit on each other. But it's fucking genius because they're not exactly bent the same way. So there are these little
Sure.
air gaps.
Right.
So the whole thing about cymbals, and this is why hi hats sound great, and why you want the cymbals to vibrate each other.
Hmm.
And when they do, and they touch certain like areas of the cymbal, it creates a certain sound. So hi hats are only touching at the edge,
Okay.
right?
They're just touching at the very edge, and there's air in between, which also
Right.
creates a sound. Yeah.
That's right. And but these clap stack cymbals, they're pretty much on top of each other, but with little tiny little gaps in between them. And when you hit them, and because there's no bell, this is a big one too, and they're sitting flat on each other. They just somehow create this frequency. Like cymbal makers figured out, well, wait, we can construct something that to get that frequency,
Yeah.
and they fucking did it. And let me tell you too, this clap stacker thing, they're thin. I
They're
could bend
thin. They're
them.
super thin. Yeah.
I can bend them myself, but
Hmm.
for whatever reason, I mean, I've played gigs with them where the kick drum is mic'd, the snare drum's mic'd, but I have no overhead to get the cymbals, and it's not like it was a big room. But the point is every time I hit that fucking thing, it cut through for some
Yeah.
reason. So
Yeah.
it must be because of that frequency range.
It is. It's a very, very distinct sound, and it's very. I couldn't believe it the first time you hit it for me. I was like, I can't. I thought it was one of these symbols that they put on TV shows when you got a mime.
That's right.
They like fuse a few symbols together,
That's right.
but it's really cool. So that's a manufactured thing. Like you can just buy.
Yep.
Is it? You said it was a clap stack. That's what it's
It's
called.
called yeah. So I have it by Istanbul Agop, which
Wow.
I'm actually trying to solely use those symbols because I really like that company. In fact, three of these symbols are both of these hi hats are Istanbul Agop. The only thing that's others is this Sabian ride here, which is a really nice ride. And talk about thin cymbal. I remember we played a gig, and it was in the city for Bill's band, and I on the way to the gig, went and picked up. I went to West 14th Guitar Center and picked up this used cymbal
Wow.
because it was like a killer deal. And I mean, I've had it for probably going on eight years, I think, and it's the fucking best cymbal I've ever had. It's thin, it's delicate. I've used it with you tons of times on those in the smallest of rooms,
Yeah.
and it's still like really nicely delicate and stuff like that. So
Now in your current setup. You don't have a crash cymbal.
I don't. I just crash on the ride.
Okay, is that something that you usually do? Like if you were on a gig, would you bring a crash cymbal?
Yeah, like I'm going back to that lazy piece of shit thing. I mean, like
Yeah.
you when you understand the touch that you can develop with the stick, the sensitivity that you build, you learn that crash is not a symbol. Ride is not a symbol. They're both verbs,
Yeah.
right? There are just symbols that are more crashable than others and symbols that are meant to be more rideable. Ride is literally going, just
Yeah.
playing with the tip of the stick, and crash, of course, is crashing the fuck out of it with the side of the stick.
Sure.
And pretty much any symbol could, depending on your level of sensitivity, like you can ride on a crash.
Yeah, they're all made of the same material. They're all basically the same shape. I mean,
That's right.
so you can it speaks to it that it's you should be able to do both things on every cymbal. I mean, you can also, I've seen guys ride on the crash as well. They get a nice shimmery ride
Yeah.
from the bell of the crash. It's a
Yeah.
lovely sound. It's
Absolutely.
awkward to watch, but I know a lot of rock guys do it, and it looks kind of like you're a spider gone off your tree on drugs or something. But it's cool, man.
Yeah, when they're over here.
Yeah, they're
Up
like
here,
doing and they're
way
doing
above
this
their
with
head.
they're doing this with that. I'm doing a weird kind of monkey type
Oh, yeah,
gesture
yeah.
here. So do me a favor then. I know you have your whole setup mic'd up there, and give us a couple of minutes of drums.
What do you want to hear,
Let's hear
man?
this.
What do you want
Just
to hear?
give me something like give me like a variety of styles. Like move through some styles from like Latin into some EDM into some pop, and then just finish off with some nice groove stuff.
Okay. So I guess Latin being, yeah, I guess.
Just trying to show that you can, like, people that are listening that may be interested in learning a musical instrument, or interested in being a drummer, or interested in just how drummers create different. Basically, to show that you can play all sorts of different music, create all sorts of different sounds using the same equipment, and that's what we're talking about here.
Sure.
We're talking about gear.
I was on a gig with Tom Monda. Shout out to Tom Monda from Thank You Scientist. Audra was on the gig too. Martin Houth.
Oh, really?
And
Was
then-
that at the Langosta Lounge?
Yeah, it was a jazz gig, man.
You were playing that night?
I was playing jazz that night on
You should have
drums.
told me.
I totally forgot to like tell people that I'm playing a gig. That
Were you playing with
remember
Audra?
that part? Say again.
Were you playing Audra's set, or were you playing in a different band?
I was playing in their jazz band. We were just doing standards the whole night.
Interesting.
So there were like a lot of bossa, there was
Very cool.
more up tempo Latin feel, which I remember when I was like, they're calling out tunes to me. Merrily We Go Along or something, whatever. I'm making that up. Or
Okay.
mow your lawn with with scissors.
Yeah.
Whatever the
Great-
fuck
great
the
name.
standards.
Great tune. That was such a
Classic
great tune.
tune, right? And I'm like, I'm just basically saying swing, Latin, bossa, and they would just tell me and give me a tempo. And I remember, so Tom counted me off. He's like, yeah, just Latin, up tempo Latin. And that was the one I was the least confident on because I don't honestly really know Latin patterns. I was just making it, But yeah, it would be like. I'm gonna fuck it up. I mean, I don't know. I can't even
And
do
that's
it
what
right
the
now.
bass will be doing underneath it. Yeah. It's cool. It's got a good. Yeah.
And then so And then, of course, there's that. Yeah, man. But I've been into, shout out to Pat Dalby and John Morrison. They were just over about 2 weeks ago, and we were recording some like hip hop, but the more drunken hip hop stuff. We've talked about that, right? Like,
Yeah, we've talked about it. Yeah.
stuff like that. Let's see. I love doing like I love this fucking 80s groove, man. Like this oh shit.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Like that type of stuff.
Yeah, like 80s pop. It's like yeah, it's cool, man.
Yeah, stuff
like
like that.
You hear it in a Karate Kid movie or something like that.
I mean, and then like lately I've been messing around with patterns, like these like linear patterns. So like hip hop, I guess. Well, like maybe like that's where all these like different sounds, these snare sounds, come in. Like you just it's almost like flipping. It's like my way of like I don't want to rely on the gear, of course, all the time to do this, but you're immediately flipping genre. You're making it very clear. This is a different genre.
Yeah.
Or this is a specific vibe or whatever. You could do it without the gear. It's harder, of course.
Yes.
But
and I think there's value in limitation. I mean, I think if you can do it while you're limited, then I think it makes it even better, to be honest with you.
So talking about gear then, let's real fast shout out, about these things, these big fat snare drum things, right?
Yes. Oh, these things are great.
So real fast, shout them out, and I'll just demonstrate them real fast. So what I used to do with these with gigs with Paul, especially on weddings, they were very useful. I used to sometimes. Do you remember, Paul? I used to have like 2 snares with me.
Yeah, you bring 2 snares, one each side of your hats, I believe.
Yeah, and I would have like something lower, something fat, and then something crisp and tight, which is how I like it. Yeah, man. I know. Stupid.
We're definitely not teenage boys, I'm telling you.
So, like, here's the point of this. I'm just going to demonstrate. If I wanted to really turn up the lazy piece of shit, I would bring this tiny ass bass drum that I have. I would bring my one snare. I would have a hat, and I would just bring a ride.
Yeah.
Right. So, but to get those extra sounds, so this would be the regular sound of the snare. Right. But then you put one of these little donut things on, big fat snare drum. Right. And now I have. Drier, right? I can now put the other one on where it drops the pitch.
Whole one, yeah.
Or you can use 2 of them at once, which is kind of cool. It really drops it. Right, and then I have this thicker one, and this I call they should just call this thing Prince.
Yeah, because it's just a Prince sound.
Like, it's unbelievable how much you just immediately are playing Kiss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Immediately you're. I mean, it's amazing. So anyway, the point is I bring one snare, but with these things, I have like four sounds.
Yeah,
Four
and
different sounds.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but these things are essentially just, it's almost like they're just thickening the head of the drum, right?
You know, this is something I can't go into the science of because I've never really figured it out or read
Mm.
about it. But for some reason, when you cover the entire surface of the drum, there's something about the weight,
Right.
and then now that you have another ply, and maybe that I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it drops the pitch of the drum. And I mean, I can prove it just using these two, but I can prove it just by turning off the snare. Like
Right.
here, well, here's the regular sound. And by the way, I have this little fucking on top of the snare.
Yeah.
I feel like a radio DJ with the
That's
whistles.
right. Yeah.
Fucking. All right. Yeah, you
Oh,
hear
there
it
you
just
go. Yeah.
right, and then the Prince one. I mean,
Wow.
it's amazing.
That's crazy, right? But I mean, it's you say a minute ago, it's the lazy bastard. It's not. It's just you have versatile gear, and
Sure.
being a professional musician, you have to have versatile gear. You have to be. You can't be like, oh, we're doing a rock tune now. I need to go back to my car and get my Lars Ulrich snare drum. I mean, you have to be able to. You got to learn how to use your instruments in a multitude of ways to suit any gig. I mean, especially as a drummer, because you could be, like you said, on a jazz gig one night and then be on an EDM gig the next night and a rock gig, and you have to use the same gear. You can't have 6 or 7 drum kits in your van,
Or there's all different styles in one night,
or all different styles in one night,
right?
like
That
at a
like
wedding. Yeah,
I went and I looked at. We have like a video that we shot about 5 years ago for promo for the wedding band for Ever
yeah,
After Band before it was called Ever After Band,
yeah, yeah.
and it's a really good recording. Like we fucking played really well, but that was when we were in the thick of in our prime,
Yeah.
and like the way we were, like Rich on the keyboards, of course, your bass parts, of course, between the two of you, and then whatever I was doing, rhythm and beat wise, we were able to play in the same video an '80s tune like what's it called? Your Love. I
Yeah.
just wanna use your love. Right?
Hmm.
We were playing that. We played. Uh, we played 1999. We played "Give Me the Time of Your Life." I think it's called by
Right.
what is that by
Pitbull.
Neo or whatever. We we played a range of styles, same drums, right? Same bass that you were using,
Hmm.
and then obviously Rich programmed his keyboard. But I guess the point is I remember about a decade or more ago seeing live cover bands wanting to be on stage, right? And playing the drums, almost like "Give me your sticks, because what are you doing?" kind of thing.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
the drummer was just playing, like they would play maybe "Semi Charmed Kind of Life," right? Okay, cool, and it sounded like a rock band. It's a rock band playing a rock band song, right? But then they would go into like "Just Dance," Lady Gaga, but it sounded like a rock band playing
yeah. It's
Lady Gaga.
that's what it is, right? Oh, we do pop songs, but we do rock versions of them. It's like, okay, so you can't play pop then. That's what you
You know
can't
what I
play
mean?
R&B. Yeah.
Nobody wants to really actually hear that.
Hmm.
Uh, they would rather hear as close as you can, of course, to the original, And
Yeah.
I think we had, man, when we were like, we were able to kind of do that was our job. That's what got us gigs, man. That's like,
Versatility. I think it's, you know what? I mean, if I had to sit down with like a teenage kid who was like looking to go out and play, I would say to him and her, forget about speed, forget about all of this stuff. Just be versatile. Like learn and listen to all sorts of music. Because no matter what type of musician, type of musical arenas you end up playing in, your versatility is never going to be a weakness. You've never
Oh yeah.
turned like nobody's ever turned around and said he's a good guitar player, but he's too versatile. Like it
Yeah,
just doesn't happen.
that
You
does
know.
it never fucking happens. Yeah.
Hmm.
And mentioning like Tom Monda, like the guy, go listen to the band Thank You Scientists.
Right.
They're definitely like a progressive rock band. They're wild music, like insane,
Right.
really great writing. And the playing is you can't just pick up, like I don't think anybody could just pick up a song and start playing. You'd just have
Sure.
to study a little bit, like really,
Yeah.
even myself, drum wise. But the guy played jazz standards the other night the way you should,
Okay.
and he sounded like a jazz guitar player on it, like a really good jazz guitar player on the gig. And the point is like you wouldn't, if you were just listening, if you know the guy from Thank You Scientist, you wouldn't ever guess that he was playing guitar on this jazz, and that's the point. You have to be a chameleon
That's right.
on these gigs. And you know what I like is that we're here on a gear episode, and we've been talking about doing this type of episode for a couple weeks now. And I always pictured, oh yeah, we'd just be going through gear,
Here.
talking about gear. We keep coming back to music.
It's the thing about it is that it's like it's the gear is just the letters and the words. That it's not the language.
That's right.
It's so when you talk about gear, it's very important to outline the context that you're talking about gear in. We don't talk about gear. We're not talking about gear from a gear nerd perspective.
That's right.
We're talking about, okay, gear is good, but what you do with that gear is more important.
Oh,
And
God,
the
it's everything.
reason you buy the gear that you buy has to be not for the gear, but for what you can do with the gear and what the gear can do for your hands and your music and everything else that take me for example.
Yeah, go into your stuff, man.
Yeah, I have problems. Like one of the ways that I think about gear is, and this is kind of more utilitarian thing, is I have problems with nickel. Nickel really upsets my fingers. It
Oh,
really
wow.
hurts my fingers to use nickel, and
I didn't know
my
that.
fingers blister a lot. So every like third or fourth gig, I'll put a set of stainless steel guitar strings on my guitar. Just things like that. Thinking about things like that. Thinking about your gear in ways that you wouldn't expect. Because certain roadblocks have been put up. This is what I'm talking about. Limitations.
Oh yeah.
Limitations, and what that limitation taught me was I would have nickel bass strings on my Music Man Stingray bass. And I would have to set the bass up a certain way, EQ wise. It's an active bass; it's got an active EQ on it. But then, as soon as I put steels on it, I needed to figure out how to make the bass sound the exact same way because I like my bass to sound the same way every time I play it.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, my hands will make the changes throughout the gig. So if I'm doing jazz, I'll play closer to the neck, and if I'm doing funk, I'll play at the bridge and all the rest of it. But ostensibly, I want my guitar to sound the same no matter what gig I'm on because the reason I've gotten the gig is either they like my playing or they like my sound, So it teaches you limitations like that. My limitation of as I've gotten on and as I've been playing more and more and more, I've discovered that, nickel really tears my hands up. So, that's just a limitation that I have. But the downfall is on my bass, nickel strings. On my electric guitars, nickel strings.
Oh yeah.
On my acoustic guitar, even though bronze strings are the standard to have on an acoustic guitar, does Paul use bronze strings, which would not affect his fingers in a negative way at all? No, he doesn't. Paul uses more retro nickel strings on his guitar because he's an asshole to himself. But
So that's one of those that's one of those things where I don't think it's that bad though. You seem to manage it well, but
yeah,
but like when you care about the sound so much and delivering, serving the music so much, you actually put your body on the line for it.
yeah. I mean, that's something that we both know plenty about.
Oh yeah,
I do bring gloves now. I do wear a
you
glove
do.
sometimes. On my right hand, I'll wear a glove. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the plucking hand that really struggles. The fingering hand is okay because it's not violently hitting the strings and not getting broken down. Like that.
Oh my
And
God.
my hands also produce a lot of salt, so that just makes it worse.
Wow.
But so every now and then I'll put, like, especially at the start of the season, you'll see me with between February and March, April. I'll usually have a glove on my right hand, just while my calluses build up.
Yeah. I
Um,
could remember years ago you bringing a specific like amp to the gig that you were like, I remember you going like, lift this up, like feel this, and it was light. It
yeah.
was really light. But he
Hmm.
goes, but listen to this shit, and it got louder than the stage volume needed, without a doubt,
Yeah.
and it had a nice
Yeah.
sound. And I remember
Yeah.
like thinking, this is a guy you want to play with
Hmm.
because this is all for he's trying to make convenience decisions on gear, which is it's not something not as heavy,
Hmm.
something that could fit in his car. Maybe he can leave in his car, doesn't take up the whole back seat,
Yeah.
but also will sound good quality tone. Uh, is powerful enough to if he needs to turn up, but for the most part, sits really he can get a sound that could sit right in the mix on stage.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I mean, that's as a bass or talk to you about this. I mean, it's super important. Any aspiring bass players out there, 3 amps, you need 3 amplifiers, you need 3 setups. You need a unplugged gig setup. Obviously, if you're not an upright player and you need to plug your bass in, you have a quote unquote unplugged gig, which is you have a very small amp, 50 to 100 watts. You have to have that. And then you
Okay.
have to have your like small wedding, like a, quick in and out rig, but for like a bar or a small wedding or, something, an original gig that's maybe in a, place like, Rockwood Music Hall or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
500 watts. And you
Mm-hmm.
can get them now where you can like lift them up with your baby finger. The one that I
Yeah, yeah.
use is a Fender Rumble combo. It's super. It's not an expensive amp at all. It's about $600 amp, and it is. I've had it now for 5 years. It's never gone wrong on me. It's the amp that you're talking about. That's the one that you're
Okay.
talking about. Is the Fender amp.
Gotcha.
It doesn't have the throw that something like my big rig would have, but it's when you're standing right next to it, which everyone is at a wedding. It sounds perfect. But then you need your big rig. You need your rig that can, if you need to play a pack out Asbury Lanes, or if you need to play a festival, or if you're like 20 feet in front of your amp on the stage, you have to have your 1,000 watt rig. As a bass player, you have to have 1,000 watt rig. And mine is I use an Epiphany.
Okay.
I use an Epiphany Piccolo bass head, and I use an Epiphany 410 speaker cabinet. And I could lift my speaker cabinet in my left hand easily and walk it as far as I would need to walk it. It's very light, but I've never gotten the thing past 1.5. Like in
Oh,
the whole
gotcha.
time I've used it, it is so loud and so powerful. But that's where, as a bass player, that's where the versatility comes in. Like when you're like even if you have the money when you're young and you're starting out, yeah, you definitely want the Ampeg SVT A10 cabinet. Who
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want that? You definitely want the Ampeg vintage SVT head with the 3 knobs on it, and just sounds so good that. But you cannot show up to a, like our jam session that we had in Montclair that first night. We improvised. You can't show up to that and roll in an Ampeg stack.
Oh, yeah.
You got to have your B15 for that. Or you got to have your Mark Bass, 250 watt little cube combo for that. It's all about going back to what you said at the start. You have to have what's appropriate for the setup, what's appropriate for the gig, what's appropriate for the band you're playing with.
Oh, yeah.
Super important.
You know, speaking of bass amps, like I don't know if this, I don't know how. Okay, I don't know if you. I'm sure you know about this, right? But
Mhm.
how it's explained is, I guess, could differ from person to person. But like the lower frequencies travel slower, so that's why if you're playing, for me, if I'm like, um, let's see, or for you as a bass player, you have to stand like further away from your amp
Mhm.
than one would think. Like the impulse would be like, if I can't hear myself, let's say, because it's a quieter gig, I should go closer to my amp. But on bass, you might want to be 5-6 feet away because you're going to get those lower frequencies to actually like hit you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there is value to that. There's definitely, I mean, it's definitely something that I've heard before, and I would mostly agree with that. I mean, scientifically, it's sound. I mean, the reason that you are, speaking of science, the reason that the senses stand further from your amp and you'll hear it better is because bass frequencies, the frequencies are further apart. So
Further apart. Gotcha.
the wavelength is further apart. So it's a much longer gap, basically. So like when you have high frequencies, they're hitting you faster, one
Yeah,
after the other, bing, 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 bing. Whereas a bass frequency would be like boom,
that's
boom,
right.
boom, boom. So being further away means that you're getting the widest range of that frequency. You're hearing it at its purest. Problem is, bass players, yeah, we like to hear ourselves. Hearing ourselves is good. Bass players like to feel.
Yes,
I'm
gotcha.
just gonna say it. Bass players like to feel themselves. Bass players
Clip
like,
it.
yeah, bass player. Yeah, I like to feel myself. Um, Bass players like to feel the bass. Like you
Yes.
get a lot. You get. I mean, especially when you're playing, especially weddings when you're doing a lot of funk and pop and R&B and stuff. You want to feel it, and that's
Holy
why
shit.
you know
You just reminded me of something.
what's that?
I forgot about this. Do you remember that thing I used to attach to my seat
Oh, your
on the
vibrator.
gigs? Yeah. Do you remember that fucking red thing? You know?
Yeah.
So, all right. So, I totally relate to that because I remember being on the gig and I remember having zero monitoring for the first like 3 years or whatever. And then it was a thing, it was like my foot hurts because I've been slamming the kick
Because you
by
want
the
to
end
get
of the
some
night.
feedback. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? It's like you want to feel the kick and it gets so loud by the end of the night you actually don't feel the kick. I feel the vibration of everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I got this thing called the Thumper by Pearl makes it. And it
Was it
was
made by Pearl or did you buy it in a sex shop? Was it made by
it
your
wasn't
ex?
it wasn't it wasn't made by Pearl Necklace. It was made by Pearl Drums.
Oh, that's
uh,
good.
no, it was just this fucking it was like okay, for anybody who used to play N64 back in the day, it was like a rumble pack for the
Mm-hmm.
controller. It would make so every time I would hit the kick drum, I would feel it in underneath my seat, basically, and it really helped. And that's why I kind of related to what you just said. Bass players want to feel the
Yeah,
frequency and feel the bass
it helps. It
note.
helps a lot with playing because, especially when you want to play in a dynamic way. If you're like a rock guy and you got pick and you're just kind of slamming away there on the root note. I mean, it's great. It sounds great. You don't need to feel that necessarily. You just need to hear it. Whereas if you're like doing like a lot of low down stuff and a lot of R&B and you want to feel it. You want to feel when you're getting down lower on the bass, and then even when you go up high, it has that vibration that really feels nice, and it helps your playing. It makes the playing more accurate, especially if you're doing like hammer-ons or little vibrato notes. It really helps with that.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm thinking about bass players that completely the opposite of what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I remember being at like a jam session, and it wasn't that the player wasn't good. The player was
Yeah,
good, but the guy was sitting on his amp,
sure.
right? Which it goes back to what I said before. You're not even in a place to really hear your sound. He's dude. It was at the point where do you know when like the bass is so loud that it
Mm-hmm.
hurts?
Yeah,
You almost get like nauseous because you feel it in your stomach,
it's just vibrating everything. It's just too much.
and it's taking over everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like the vocalist can't hear anything over it. Even the drums. I'm like fucking. I can't hear live drums in this room right now
Because the bass is so
because
loud.
the
Yeah.
bass player. And and I remember also the bass player like playing very very hard on the strings, plucking
Right.
really hard. And the reason why I bring that up is it a mix of both of these things, or is it just one thing, like technique, or is there something about learning how to developing a skill of just how to listen to something? Do you know what I mean? How to filter?
I think it's important for every musician to you know the thing is when you're starting out as a musician, you you're always on stage and you go up and you're doing a sound check and you're like, I can't hear myself. You think you can't hear yourself, but what you're actually saying is, I can't hear myself louder than everybody else. And
Yes.
that's what it actually is. When we're teenagers and we're just about to start our heavy metal gig, and the lead guitar player is like, it sounds perfect, but he can't hear himself because he can't hear himself like he can hear himself in his bedroom, which is like back in my day, the CD player was playing and you were like playing way over it. And we get used to, when we're learning how to play an instrument, that's how we get used to playing. We're playing along with a tape or we're playing along with Spotify or something, and we're hearing a lot of ourselves and a little bit of the band. Once you get 100, 200, 300 gigs under your belt, what you actually learn is it's it's impossible for everybody to hear themselves on a stage in that way.
Sure.
You can't do it. You can't. Everyone can't be a little louder than everybody else. I mean, think about it. It doesn't work. So, and there's this there's this odd thing where there's a hierarchy with like the level of instruments on a
Yes.
stage, and which I
Sure.
just don't agree with at all. I think it's terrible. I think most people that do sound that way make it just sound awful, because as soon as the guitar drops out or the piano drops out, there's nothing there because everything else is so
Sure.
far below it. But what you learn to do is you learn, I don't need to hear myself above everyone else. I need to hear myself sitting in the band where I should be.
Yes.
And
Yep.
once you learn how to do that, and once you, number one, you got to figure out that that's what's needed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to learn how to do it. And then it's up to you to learn your parts and learn how to play your instruments so you can play below the piano. Man,
Yep.
if you're a bass player and you're in your band, you guys are playing the same frequencies. On his left hand, you got to be locked in there, and sometimes you're
Yep.
not going to hear your pluck. Sometimes you're not going to hear. You listen to John Deacon and Freddie Mercury. I mean, they were just locked in. It can't have been easy when Freddie was playing piano for John Deacon to hear himself, because they're playing the same frequency.
Yeah.
But
Isn't that wild? You wonder about that on live stages like that, big, big, big stages.
yeah,
You know, there's got to be a thing about. I'm thinking, like back when I complained to you a lot as my sound guy for a lot of those wedding gigs. It wasn't complaining at you like this is your fault. It was a thing of, dude, I can't fucking hear myself. And
yeah,
it had nothing to do with you. It had to do with the members of the band controlling their sound and basically turning up throughout the night. And then the vocalists being prioritized without a doubt, of course. Turn me up, I can't hear because somebody else just turned themselves up. You know what I mean? There's that what do they call
it's a
that?
it's a domino effect.
Domino effect, right?
Hmm.
But I remember like, because I'm frustrated. I don't know, and I was starting to feel pain because you're gripping the stick hard because you're beating the shit out of these drums. I
Yeah.
mean, like, just to hear just to hear yourself. But I'm thinking that maybe something that would have helped, like, let's just say that let's just say this. This is an instrumentalist problem. Let's take the vocalists out of it. Somebody's taking care of the vocalists for them, but the
True.
instrumentalists, you have to take care of yourself and your own sound. So
Yeah.
what would have helped the instrumentalist in that moment was something as simple as eye contact and paying attention to each other's part
Hmm.
and playing with each other. Because number one, it would have been more fun to
Yeah.
play the song because you're actually like playing with somebody. You make that eye contact is it makes it more fun.
Yeah.
But you're actively trying to listen to that person and their part and your part at the same time. And I wonder if I mean I'm only gonna say realistically the motivation to do that on a cover gig is very low.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
so I'm wondering with bands like Queen back in the day, or
Hmm.
anybody who played on big stages like that, they're playing their original music in front of their crowd. They might have had an easier time hearing themselves, or just experiencing hearing the song, hearing everybody, just based on the interaction with each other. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and the energy that they're playing with, they're having fun.
I would think so. I mean, the other thing that you have to allow for in a situation like that is, any big arena band like that is, there's a whole lot of stuff coming back from out front because you got way more rig than you do at a wedding. You know, I
That's
mean,
true.
your sound at a wedding is basically coming from the monitors because your front of house is so low, you're not really going to get anything. As soon as those monitors get turned up, you're only hearing monitor. But I mean, if you play, I mean, I've played in some festivals and stuff like that with huge rigs, um, and really, you get to a stage where, and I'm a vocalist as well, so I'm usually out at the front of the stage singing, at least backup. Um, and you're so far away from your amp, you're no longer getting anything from your amp. Everything is coming from out front, and
From out front,
it's
yeah.
actually kind of cool. It's kind of good for a bass player because you do get that kind of vibration and that down lowness.
I remember that. I remember you and Eric was playing guitar, and I remember it. The whole point was it served two purposes. The first purpose was a visual thing
Yeah,
to get you and the guitarist out on the dance floor with the vocalists to interact, you know? And
yeah,
it
yeah,
was cool. I mean, it was really cool. But I think what you're saying is it helped to hear the front of house sound
yeah.
and, you know, for yourself too. Like it was almost a better sound.
And well, you're getting the blend of the band, you know, which
Yeah.
is the sound that I like. I mean, I even took to using in-ear monitors because I just had to hear the band sound, what the band was sounding like. I mean, and I kind of, it took a while to learn that, you know, and it's a little bit of a skill, and it's not something it's not something that's easy to do right at the start. But you know, I think probably of all the different instrumentalists in the world, I think bass players get used to it the quickest, simply because you have to sit as the bass
Yeah,
player. You cannot be on top of the mix.
that's right.
Um, and that's what it comes down to. It's not about how do I sound, what's my volume like. It's about how does the band sound. If the band sounds good, I don't care. You know,
Yeah, yep.
if there's a killer sound out front, and you know people are like, it's great, that people are dancing if you're doing a wedding, or people are enjoying yourself if you're playing a club or whatever.
Yep.
That's all that really matters. I mean, look, as long as you're not. I mean, you had I know the issues that you went through in that band, and I know the reason for them. Um, and it was a volume. It was like just the sheer volume on stage, and
Yeah.
like that's long behind us. You know, I still play in sort of the same band, and we have people come up to us, like old people at events, like at weddings and stuff, come up and say, "Wow, we were able to talk all night."
Yeah, man.
Like
It's
we
biggest
didn't.
compliment.
It's such a compliment because you know you don't have to like destroy people's ears
And
to make
and
it
that
sound good.
doesn't mean that people weren't filled on. You didn't fill the dance floor the
Oh
whole
no,
night
they were
too.
just, if they wanted to sit down and talk for a while, having tea,
Exactly.
coffee, or something, they could sit down. They didn't have to go to the next. That's the thing. If you're too loud, people are going to the next room.
Yes.
You
Exactly.
know, whereas we really want people right in front of the stage, and you know, as long as you
Exactly.
get the thump, as long as that drum thump is there,
Well, so
you know.
do you remember what changed it? Like when I started triggering, like the kick drum, that changed everything. Especially on those EDM inspired songs, like you know that kick drum. I mean, I have the thing
Yeah,
right here
hmm,
that I used that EDA. You remember that thing?
yeah,
I would put it
a
on the bass
module,
drum,
right?
and let's see if you could hear it. But you know, I could trigger a bass drum sound. Um, I forgot how to use this thing.
It's been a while.
Yeah, let's see.
So it's the Yamaha D something.
Yeah, it's called the EAD10. Let's see if you can.
EAD10. Yeah. There you go. It's like a dub sound.
Yeah, so just to explain. Yeah, let me because this thing has stereo mic on the. You can hear.
Yeah.
I'm doing some ASMR stuff right now. Hear that, everybody?
That's gone now. That's gone.
All right, so now
I've lost your fingers.
So now you should be able to hear an 808 kick drum sound.
It's coming through. Oh, there you go. It's actually distorting it, but it's so loud.
I know why it's. Um,
It's cool. It's a cool device.
and having that, on the gig, like,
Mm.
you know, just like an actual club kick drum
A
sound.
club, and it does make a difference because people think they're in a club. Like they're just like,
Exactly.
especially when you get to that second last set before you get to the rock stuff, they're like dancing and shit. Yeah, it's cool. But
You
I mean,
got to make
again,
them feel. You have to make them feel the
yeah,
feeling when they hear that music,
yeah.
which is to start moving.
You know what? It's weird. We way back in the day in my early 20s when we were starting to play full time, we used a one of the first iterations of that device. It was called the Yamaha D4.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like a rack mounted module with, and you have triggers, these triggers that you stick on the drums, and it basically did the same thing. It was like these triggers that wired into this device, and you picked your kick drum sound and your snare drum sound, and it was great because you had the same drum sound all the time. It was fantastic. You know?
And it's really good for like when you think about bands who have drummers, but maybe they programmed a song. Like the first band I think of was Radiohead.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? If you're playing like I don't know, Kid A, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that, there are very specific drum machine
That's
sounds.
yes. That is a very analog sounding drum machine, and it's not easy to recreate that with a real drum kit. You really do need to trigger that shit.
Yeah.
You know.
But that was helpful on the gig because
Mm-hmm.
I would plug I'd put like earplugs or headphones on and I'd plug into this device and I'd get a kick triggered sound. I mean, at one point I even put a trigger on the snare just to get some, bop sound. But the stereo mic would pick up cymbals too, and you can EQ it sort of. Man, what a game changer.
Yeah.
So EAD 10 if you're gigging out there, and because also do you remember too? Like I had another thing. It's called a Roland TM2.
I was going to ask you that because the Yamaha didn't come along till I would say the last, if not the last 2 seasons, the last season you were with us. What were you using in the interim? Because we weren't miking your drums up.
That's
I
right.
don't,
'Cause I
I
was
don't think we
using
were miking.
I was using. Oh, do you remember too? I had this like cocktail kit. Do you remember
Yeah,
that fucking thing?
yeah, yeah.
Lazy man. Holy
Did
shit.
you sell that? I would have.
I wound up selling that. Yeah.
Uh,
Should have kept it. But I would trigger. Okay, I would use this thing called the Yamaha. I'm sorry, a Roland TM2. All it is it's a drum trigger module, and you can basically hook up electronic drums to it. You can upload your own samples to it. It also has its own
mhm.
samples, and I would just trigger get a separate Roland trigger for the kick drum that would attach to the kick drum hoop. And then I would get one for the toms too. I think, yeah, I got one for the toms. And even did this thing where I made it so that when I hit the rim of the snare, it would do a clap sound.
Yes.
Remember
Yeah, now
that?
I remember that. Yeah, yeah.
But you would only get the triggered sounds, right? What this
Hmm.
Yamaha thing, this EAD does, is that it captures the actual sound of the kick drum right there because the capsule
Yeah,
stereo mic right above the kick drum, and it's in the center of the drum set, so
yeah.
that it picks up cymbals and stuff. So that when you hit the kick drum, you're getting a beautiful blend of a
Or
real kick drum sound, right? And
and the
the
triggered
trigger,
sound.
right?
Mhm.
And you guys, I remember like on the first time we used it on a gig, I remember you guys went out to during a sound check. You and Rich went out, and you were like, you wouldn't believe the difference. Because I guess in the past it would sound if you're a musician with an ear, it would sound fake,
Yeah,
right? You would just know, okay, that's
that's a
somebody.
triggered drum sound. Yeah.
You would almost think like there's a DJ.
Well, I mean, I was just telling you about this device that we used to use, the D4, the first one of the first. I mean, I guess was the fourth one. It was Yamaha Drum 4, right? I mean, if you listen to that now, you would probably be thinking, Jesus, that sounds so bad. But it was something we used to death. It was great, you
It
know.
probably though solved a lot of issues.
I mean, it always was, as a guy that did the sound for the band, it always made me nervous when
Really?
we had a fill-in drummer. It
Oh
always
yeah.
made me nervous because, you know, Drummers, man. I love drummers. I've gotten to play with some great drummers all my life.
But
I cannot be,
but
but there are drummers out there that like they're like oh, you rock up to a wedding gig with a 13-piece band, and they rock up with their 5-piece drum kit and like 4 cymbals or whatever, and they're like, yeah, so I like to mic the snare top and bottom, and then
oh
one on the
god,
hats and one like two on the overhead, tom
yeah,
each. And I'm like, this is a 16-channel board.
yeah,
This
yeah,
is a 13-piece band. I mean, do the math. You know
yeah,
what I
for
mean?
real, for real.
So like, it always makes me nervous that some guy's gonna show up and he's gonna be like, I have my drum mics and that's it. Or even worse, they show up and they're like, don't you guys have drum mics?
Yeah, oh
So
yeah,
but we have our own. We now have our own module that you have, the
that's
EAD.
right. I
You
remember
know,
you guys saying. I remember
yeah,
you saying like, I want to get that for the band because it just
yeah.
it solves a lot of issues.
It just means that if there's another drummer on the gig, just bring your drum kit. We put this module on it, and we put the drum. We pump up the drums through that because you don't want to be dealing with. I mean, I was supposed to be doing a recording session, it fell through, and it was going to be happening in Europe, and I was trying to get the gear situation figured out for it.
Hmm.
And I just went around to everybody. I thought, you know what? I mean, probably just bring two 8-channel interfaces, just aggregate them, and that'll be fine. 16 channels for live tracking is fine. It was a guitar player, a bass player, a drummer, a singer, and a keyboard player. I mean,
Yeah.
tons, right? You think. Well, the drummer sends me his list, and I mean, I love this guy, but he's like, it was like 13 channels of drums, and I'm like, what? Why? Like,
I mean, look, you're talking to a guy who literally has 12 channels of drums right now, right? But
you have 12 channels of drums
I
right
have
now.
12 because I'll just say what they are. I have a kick in, kick out. I
Mm-hmm.
have this main snare top and a bottom. I have this floor tom, this tom mic. I have a hi hat mic. I have this tiny hi hat mic. I have a side snare mic, and then I have two overheads. And am I missing anything? I'm missing the room mic across the room. So I have
Yeah, but
12 channels, right? But even I
you have
know,
3 snares.
yeah, I'm an
Like,
asshole.
you should like no, but like the reason that you have that many channels is you have 3 snares. If
Oh yeah,
you like when you're recording drums, all right. Here's the thing. Here's my non-drummer recording drums thing. You mic every drum once. You probably mic the bottom of the snare. I'll give you that.
sure.
And then you just put a stereo pair of room mics in. That
I
which
I
will
kind of agree with you.
catches the cymbals, it catches everything in a very natural way. Because if you have everything mic'd up to, so first off, I close mic all of the skin drums, all of the actual drums, because
Toms
the
too.
toms, snare drum, and kick drum, because I don't know, I may not like the drum sound that I recorded, so I might want to trigger something.
Sure,
So I literally use those as trigger performances. So basically, a
sure.
good clean performance that if I like the sound of the drums, I can use the sound of the drums.
Hmm.
If the drummer decided he wasn't going to change his drum skins for 3 years, I can always just use those as triggers for other drums. But what I do is I would trigger good sounds, which you can do right. It's incredible what you can do. And then I just bleed in the room mics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You bleed in a little bit of room mic. That gives you just enough cymbal. Because look, your tom mics are picking up your cymbal. Your snare mics are picking up your cymbals,
Yep.
but they pick them up in a very natural way, and I think it sounds good. I don't like, you have a lot of guys with like mic cymbals. I don't mic cymbals. I just
Yeah,
let the room mics pick up the cymbals,
I
and it's
gotta
very
say,
natural.
man, because like
Mhm.
that miking, you would think, right? Like this is such a beautiful, intricate piece of the music, the ride cymbal, right? Especially in jazz. And I have seen them people miking a ride cymbal, right?
Yeah,
I've tried it and I suck, so maybe that's the reason why it didn't work. But I couldn't do anything with it.
that's not the reason because think about it. You look at a drum set. A drum set in a room being played by a good drummer sounds great. Okay.
Yeah,
Part of the reason it sounds great is because where everything is.
yeah,
Everything is being picked up by the room because, you know, why does that ride sound so good when I'm on the opposite side of the room? Because you're on the opposite side of the room. It's just the
Yay.
blend of where it is on the kit.
Yeah.
If you close mic everything, you're going to mix it in an unnatural way.
Unnatural.
You
Yep.
need to figure out, okay, how loud does the ride need to be? Whereas if you just use those room mics for your cymbals, it's already where it needs to be. You just got to
Yep.
blend it in. You got to blend that room mic in, and yeah, I mean, I think it's, I like to just close mic, and then that gives me a kaleidoscope. I can just trigger the sounds, or I can use the sounds if it's a good drummer who tunes his drums really well.
Yes.
You can
Yes.
just use the sounds, but you always have that option. But I always bleed the room mic in. I like that natural room sound.
But if I was gonna, I'm thinking about it now, and like I remember talking when we were talking to Gerald,
Mm,
and you brought up something about one of his songs having really really tasteful
hmm
and powerful tom work,
Yeah,
right? And like that's an exception to where I could say like the way you have to mic the drums is you have to pay a little bit more attention. It needs more attention, right? But with what
hmm
you're saying, if you're just playing, you're really just you're supporting. You're just playing the beats, the whatever the patterns that the song
hmm
needs. There's nothing really. There's nothing that needs the spotlight for the drummer, right?
yeah. Not
Like,
really. I mean, look, I appreciate if you're like the hit factory and you have all the time in the world, you should get your drums to sound good, and you just use the natural drum sounds, use the great mics that they invariably have there, you know? But I can tell you that if you're just 9 sessions out of 10, the toms are not going to be tuned properly, the
yeah,
skins are not going to sound new, you know?
yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, it's, yeah, getting the intricacies of a shell, of a drum shell, of a skin, miking into different places. It's all well and good, but I mean, a lot of the time you can't do that.
Dude, I think, yeah, man, I think like if I had a situation like that where I was showing up to record and somebody else was doing the recording, I ain't gonna make requests like that. I need this many mics. I think I would
Yeah,
just ride it the way they would do it. But if I did have like if I was questioning what was what was being recorded and like how it was being recorded and going,
sure.
I'm not sure about this. I think we can get better quality. I would just do it myself and just send stems.
Just send stems, dude. Just get a. You could even get like a guide track down and just send stems. But the interesting thing is, like for this session that didn't end up is going to end up happening, it was interesting because not only was the drum mic usage going to be that high, but they also wanted to get all of the guide tracks done live. So you got
Yeah.
13
Whew.
channels of drums. You've got
Yeah.
3 channels left, and those 3 channels are for vocalist, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, keyboards, and bass. So basically, what you're looking at then is you're looking at a secondary board and running a stereo pair in just for when I'm thinking kick, snare, tom, hats, maybe a top snare, 2 overheads. Boom, we're done. 8 channels, eight
Dude,
channels, and you're done.
some of the best rock songs
hmm
in the last 20 years, you can hear it. You can
hmm
hear minimal drum miking
Yeah.
and just exactly what it needed. And
hmm
it's you know what? And it's great.
It's great.
It's great that way. You don't need to change it. I don't care what would it sound like if we had a richer sounding. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like,
A little bit of a fucking testicle thing as well, isn't it? Like
do you think
it's a
so?
little, oh yeah, oh totally. Yeah, I'm gonna need it's like coming up to the bar and like slapping your knob up, and I'm gonna need like 14 channels for my drums. I'm gonna need
Oh
each
my
tom
God.
mic'd up and down.
Was that
I'm
a
gonna
request? Was that a request?
yeah, I'm gonna need
Are
like
you fucking
three.
serious?
I'm gonna need 3 mics on the hats. I'm gonna need a top mic, a bottom mic, and just a pencil mic for those in between frequencies. Like, fuck off.
Was
You
that
don't
was
need,
that was that actually a request?
what's that?
Top and bottom toms?
No, no, no. That's me exaggerating.
Okay, because I've
You know.
heard that before, and I just remember thinking like that bottom head is the thing that engineers complain about.
Well, that's,
Ringing, that resonance, like what is that
yeah.
thing bleeding into the mics? Like why would you want that? What would you do with that?
Here's the thing, man. Look at the drum kit. This is what I say to drummers. Okay, they tell me their mic request. Look at your drum kit. Why do you want the bottom of your toms mic'd? Do you have your ear down there? No.
Yes,
Why don't you
exactly.
have your
Yep.
ear down there? Because that's for resonance.
Yep.
That's where the frequencies drip down to. That's where
That's
the
right.
vibration drips down to. You don't want to capture that. That's the reason why your ear isn't down there. Your ear is
That's
at the
right.
top. You know, it's
That's
crazy.
some control freak shit right there.
It's just you know, it's big dick syndrome. It's like, oh
Big
yeah,
dick
I'm
syndrome.
you know, I mean, it's just ridiculous. I got this like list of here are all the things. I'm like, you know, well, that's not happening. I'm saying it to myself, you know, well, that's
Yeah,
not going to
yeah.
happen. But luckily, I avoided the. And again, I mean, the drummer, he's a great drummer, a really good drummer, and he's a really good guy. But it was just like, yeah, you know, I mean, he would have been like, I would have got to like 8 mics on his drums, and I think that's where you see the skill of a musician, and that's where I mean, it's something that I'm saying more and more often now. Limitations. Limit yourself and you get better
Yes.
art. I mean, if I turn
Yes.
around to him and I said, okay, you want 13, I'm going to give you 8.
Yeah.
Give me your best 8 positions on your drums. And I'm
Yep.
telling you, do you know what he would have done? He would have sat down and looked at his drum kit. He probably would have had somebody else play it and he would have like put his ear around his drum kits for the best places. And you probably would have got an incredible drum sound out of it.
That's a good point.
You know?
And and you think back and if you read about how Zeppelin recorded how they got that Bonham sound, for instance, it really had to do with mic placement, but not like mic placement to each drum. It was literally mic placement to the surrounding kit, like
Yeah.
in certain positions. Capturing. I remember reading something about like there being a microphone. I don't even know if it was dynamic or condenser. I imagine it was condenser, but
Right.
they would put one aimed towards the snare drum, but on the floor tom side,
Right.
right? And then they had a kick drum, one mic in front of the kick, like way outside the kick drum. And then I forget the rest of it. I don't know if they had one like one above but somehow they were able to, like you said, where are you hearing the drums? Where could you stand to hear the drums sound the best?
People just don't even realize that. Actually,
You
I
know?
was thinking maybe the name of the engineer on that session was Mike Placement. That's what I thought. Oh, that guy, yeah, he's really, Mike Placement. That's the guy we get to place our mics.
That's the guy that should
Yeah.
legally change his name to Mike
Yeah,
Placement.
yeah, Mike Placement.
Michael
yeah.
Placement.
Hey, well, my name is
Mike
Michael Placement.
Michael Phone Placement.
Yeah,
That's gonna be my child's name.
His middle name is Raffone. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
Italian. Mike
Raffone.
Raffone Placement.
Nice.
Nice.
Raffone.
Raffone, yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Were there any other pieces of gear that you wanted to mention that for your playing?
I mean, I just the only thing that I would say is I'm not a big giving advice kind of guy,
Okay.
for gear because you never know. Like it's easy for me to say, oh, you should buy this, but you don't know what somebody's financial circumstances are,
Oh yeah.
and you don't know what somebody can fit in there. Somebody might be living in a studio apartment in New York City. They may not be able to fit. The most important thing about recording, I would say, is definitely, and and even playing live, it applies to playing live. Is be able to do it with the least possible.
Yep.
That's the advice I would give. Be
Yep.
able to, if you have to buy tons of gear to get something to sound good, there's a deeper problem there. Be
Yeah.
able to do it on the least amount you possibly can,
Yep.
and then feel free to go ahead and buy all the gear you want, and then you're going to be fucking killing it.
That's right.
But be able to do what you need to do that's something that I've just done. I had like I had six basses that I used to use regularly.
Uh-huh.
Six basses. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, I now have two, Anthony.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a professional bass player and I have pretty much, I mean, I have other basses. Like, I have a Hohner headless bass that I just use for practice. You know, I've got my old Court bass that's just legendary to me. I used it from I got it when I was like 22 and I still have it. But I have two, I have a Music Man bass and a Warwick bass. And my Warwick has not seen the light of day in 6 months. I basically use one bass now because I've figured out how to do everything I need to do on that one bass,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Just that's the only thing I would say to people. Figure out how to do what you need to do on the least amount you can, and then you can go ahead and any gear that you add to it, it's just going to make you sound even better.
I have this saying because I'm a percussionist, and it all sounds are beautiful, but I really need to adjust that saying to all sounds can be beautiful, can sound beautiful, and basically it's the way you play them. It's the way you
That's it.
play the thing. You can
Yeah.
have the shittiest, oldest strings on a bass that's warped. You could probably, if like a good player, can make it sound good still. It could be the shittiest drum set with the shittiest cymbals,
Absolutely.
but the challenge is like make it sound good. I almost kind of want to go to my next gig with like fucking ZBT cymbals, those orange looking things. You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah,
Those,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And like a junior drum set.
Right. And just
One of
kill it.
those.
And just shit on everybody, be like, killing it. It would be great. But it's like, something close to what Victor Wooten said. Like you can go to France and you can know every word in French,
Hmm.
but unless you know what the words actually mean, you can't. You can know the language, but if you don't know what the words mean, you won't make any sense. And
Sure,
it's the same thing with music. You can have all this gear, but you can't make it sound good unless you know what you're doing. And you can
that's right.
only know what you're doing if you practice and if you put the work in and if you just allow yourself to fail and learn from those failures. And I've done it. I mean, I've spent so much money on gear, Anthony, that I have just
Oh
that I've
no,
just
for real?
I've just turned around and I've sold it. I've sold it all
Yeah,
because I'm
same.
just like this. None of this is actually helping.
That's right.
All I need is my little. I've got a two-channel interface. It's a really nice one. It's the universal audio. Then I've got an 8 channel which I can aggregate, which is the same one that you have, the
Yep.
Scarlett.
Yep.
Um, I've got a pair of HS8s. That's it. Everything else is in the box, man. I use plugins, just the computer, and I
Oh
plug
man,
plug my
that's a
guitar in.
whole separate episode too. Is talking about recording
You
gear
should do that
and
next,
and
man.
software, and
I'd love
plugins
to
and
get
stuff like
into
that.
that.
Let's do that next time. And
Yeah.
I do want to say this because it does apply.
Mm.
You told me this. I never forgot it because it clarified and cut through the bullshit. Clarified this, which was I remember saying to you, yeah, I should just get like a really good condenser mic, like one of those like $800 whatever. And I'm in a fucking concrete basement
Yeah.
recording, you know what I mean? And you said, Anthony, if you get a good mic, it just picks up more of what you're recording.
Hmm.
It's just really good at picking up everything.
Yeah.
So if you're recording in a bad room, you're going to get more of
Or
that
bad.
bad room.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking that like you saved me hundreds of dollars
Yeah.
on by
Yeah.
telling me that because you're right. It made clear sense.
Hmm.
It's like the mic isn't going to make the where it's being recorded sound better.
No way.
You're just gonna hear it deeper.
It's
You know.
crazy the amount of people that think, oh, I mean that mic is. I mean, there's certain mics they might give your whatever instrument you're playing through a certain color that you might want, but no mic is going to make something that's bad sound good.
That's right. Shit in,
It's
shit
not
out. Right.
exactly. It's not going to make something that sounds bad, like a room that sounds bad, and you could be the best player in the world, but if the room sounds bad, a better mic isn't going to help that. It's just
Nope.
going to introduce more bad room.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean that's a really valuable thing to bring up is, you know, it's crazy. It's one of the things that I used to spot with bands all the time. I would see guys up there with their, you know, Bogner amps or Sir amps, or like they spend thousands on their amps and they've got like Music Man guitars that are like
Hmm.
$3,000, and their pedals, or if they've got rack mounted effects with like
Uh-huh.
MIDI controllers and everything, and there's thousands of dollars on stage, and then they're singing through like the shittiest mic that you can fucking find. And I'm like, if you're a singer,
Yeah.
if you are a singer, okay, we all know about the SM58, okay?
Yeah.
We all know
I'm
that the
using it right now.
SM58 is exactly, it's an industry standard microphone. It's a very good microphone. In the right hands, it's a very good microphone.
Yeah.
But if you're a professional vocalist, an SM58 might not suit you. You need to get, people spend a ton of money on the guitar that suits them. They like the sound of that guitar. And then they go into the store and they go, "Oh, I need a mic, SM58. We have 16 other SM58. No, try the other microphones out.
Absolutely.
I used to have I started off with an SM58, and then I used an SM57A beta, and that had too much pop. And now I've used for over 10 years an 87A beta mic, and that's the one that suits my voice the most. It sounds great. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, if you're a singer, especially these vocalists, really good singers, they have like a $6,000 Martin guitar,
Yeah.
and they're singing through an SM58 that just
It's
does
so
not suit
funny,
their
right?
voice. It's
It's
crazy.
so
Like,
funny.
yeah, go get yourself a good microphone, one that suits your voice.
That's
You've
right.
done it for your guitar, you've done it for your amp, you've done it for your drums. Do it for your voice as well. This mic may not suit you. Get a
Man,
mic that suits you.
and you just got me thinking, and we could totally continue this on the next episode, but I just realized like how many times posting up like a video, you know how I post up like Instagram videos of me playing drums. I mix it in a certain way, whatever. And I get questions of what mics are you using? And I actually like type it out, man. Like I give them a paragraph of everything I'm using, right? And I even include the plugins that I'm using,
Sure.
right? And it just dawned on me. What's behind me? And you don't even see the rest of the room. Like I'm
Yeah.
surrounded by absorption panels and
Right.
blank sound absorption blankets, like all around me. So the point is those mics wouldn't mean dick without this
Just
treating
extra
the room.
stuff. Treating
You know
the
what I
room,
mean?
yeah. Mhm.
And so it's like these concepts, man. That's why it's good to have this podcast, because music is so conceptual, and community. I feel like musicians, especially musicians with non musicians, there is a breakdown of communication
Yeah.
with each other and with the non-musicians, because
Yeah.
it's a thing that happens in the brain because we listen to it, but you actually can't see it. And I think that's why we have like 4K video, 8K video, and it's the progression of that has been so fast. You know what I mean? Like I think because you can actually see it and you can prove to somebody, yeah, look how better this looks,
Sure.
right? As opposed to, do you hear? Do you hear how good this sounds? It went through this outboard gear, and somebody's like, "The fuck you? I don't. It sounds like a song."
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And like I think it's important to like actually articulate this stuff. It
Yeah, it's
helps me
important.
understand it better.
Yeah, and I think it's important as well to try to not be too fucking hipster as a musician either. It's like I used to be one of those a-holes that would be like, man, it's not about the gear you use, it's in your hands. And I remember I was talking about gear one night with this guy, and I was like, I was an anti-gear guy. I had a Fender Precision bass, and I plugged it into a Trace Elliott stack, and I scooped the shit out of it, and I just started playing. And I wasn't a gear guy at all. I didn't have anything, and I was like, no, man, it's just in your hands. And this like older guy said, you want to know how important equipment is? It was like, go on. I was like drunk and boisterous. He turned around, he just smacked me down completely. I loved it. He said, how do you think the Sistine Chapel ceiling would have ended up for Michelangelo if he had used custard? I was like, that's fair enough. The medium. I was like, from that day on, I was like, that's actually a really good point.
It
use
is. It really is, and it's like I can make the same argument. I can live on ramen.
Yeah.
I can live on microwave ramen noodles,
Sure.
right? But that fucking burger that I just made before doing this
Yeah.
tasted really good and filled me up.
Yeah. And that's why you do it. That's why and that's why we buy the gear, and that's why we save up for the like this interface that I use, the audio, the universal audio one. I've dreamed about having this interface for so long, and now I finally have it. It's just making my life so much easier. But
Dude,
again,
you and
I've
Rich keep talking that thing up. I want it so bad.
dude, you should try it out. I mean, you should at least put your. I mean, this one's only 2 channel, but you can put your kick drum through it and your snare drum through it, and just
Yeah.
aggregate the rest of it through your Focusrite one, and it's such and the console control, the control, like you have the Scarlett control, right?
Yeah.
The one for Universal Audio, man. Dude, the sounds are so good, and it's a lot of very like vintage plugin emulation that they use. So like
Hmm.
a lot of Pultec stuff, and a lot of the gear they emulate is the very very high end. Like it wasn't back then; it was just very basic. But now it's $10,000 for this compressor, and they've emulated it on a plugin. And it's a little on the pricey side, but let me tell you, man, it's so worth it. Just so worth it. It's crazy.
I think when you told me what the thing does, how it processes,
Yeah.
it takes the processor power itself for, let's say, if you wanted to
Hmm.
run a big recording. Like right now, we've been recording for over an hour,
Sure.
and I'm recording on 12 mics plus this mic here,
Yeah.
and but I'm not running plugins.
Yeah.
If
Hmm.
I was actually recording, even if I was recording a 4 minute track and doing take after take, I don't run it with plugins because I got to be honest, I don't know if I have a machine that could
The
process
CPU
all
would
that.
be pretty maxed out at that stage. Yeah.
So the thing about this, this interface that you have by Universal Audio, once you explained that to me, I was like, oh my God, that's the dream. Because
Yeah.
I get to then record like in the context of the song with a mix, sort of like a nice mix that would be like, let's say it's like some electronic inspired drum
Hmm.
track that I'm doing. I get to hear it that way as I'm recording.
Absolutely.
Game changer.
It's great. And you know what? What the great thing about this is, so you're right, so even if you use plugins, so you can record with the plugins
Hmm.
and you can print it. So I love that, number one, because
Yeah.
one of the things that recording musicians have a hard time with is commitment. Um, whereas if you're printing your plugins, like your compressor and your EQ and your preamp,
Yep.
print that shit when it's going down and commit to it. Because make it sound good going down. If it sounds good going down, you're gonna save yourself CPU later on
Later. Yeah.
by not having to fix that shit. But then if you print it, you can then still use all of the processing power, and even if you're adding Universal Audio plugins after the fact, the Universal Audio plugins do not run through your computer CPU. They continue to run through the processor in the audio interface. And I've gotten it to now. There's different plugins that come with this. Use different amounts of power, but if you use the legacy ones, the ones that have legacy at the end, they're lower CPU. I've run 16 instances of plugins, and this is only a dual core. You can
Hmm.
get a quad core. If you've got $4,000, you can get one with 8 cores, which means you could probably have 70, 80 of these plugins running,
Yeah.
and none of it is using any CPU from your computer. It's just on the interface.
That's
It's
a game
crazy.
changer, man. And for
Yeah.
people, I know so many people out there who like produce, make beats and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and they just have whatever MacBook or whatever laptop, whatever they have for the last 7, 8 years,
Mhm.
and they're trying to run. Now that they're getting, when you get good, you start adding layers and layers and more tracks, more tracks. They can't do it past a
Yeah.
certain. The computer can't run it. So it's something like this is what a game changer.
It's crazy. It's great. Now it has its limitations. I mean, like I said, I've got dual core, and it does the device comes with a software that you download that counts it's like a CPU meter for the interface.
Okay.
But you can load up on this, and then you can start on your machine. You can have so much more running on this. Like I got to 16 CPU heavy plugins on various different things. 16 on like it was like a 30, maybe 35 track mix. I got
Yeah,
16 audio interface.
the best way to explain plugins to people while we have like a
Hmm.
few minutes left,
Hmm.
the best way to explain a plugin would be like imagine if I record if this vocal mic right here, if you were to look at it recorded, and I can open up, it would be like opening up like a video game, right? And the video game is manipulating the voice. So
Yeah.
I can take away all of the low sounds of my voice and make myself sound like a chipmunk if I want. And then there's a thing that compresses that audio, so it almost makes it sound like you're in my mouth or
Yeah.
whatever, like at its extreme, of
I've been in
course.
your mouth. I know what it's like. In
Yeah, I apologize. I don't know when that happened. I must have been sleeping.
yeah, and
But
basically,
anyway,
yeah, and all
that, that,
these things are now. Whereas in the past, you in a recording studio, you would see these racks and racks and racks of
yes.
gear, and now it's all what they call in the box. It's all computerized, and it's emulations of those things, those pieces of equipment. That
So it would be like if you got your, they have an emulation of an N64 or a
Mhm.
PlayStation 1 from back in the day and all the games on it. So your computer is has recreated the
Exactly.
software of the
Mhm.
N64 and then right. So for
Yeah.
this, a good example would be like my dry ass, boring ass voice right now. I can
Mhm.
put it. Maybe I'll do it in edit. I'll put it in a big, large concert hall and what it would
Mhm.
sound like. And but the thing is it's audio. So like my voice in this hall doesn't end like now. It goes now.
Yeah.
And that takes so much processing power to be able to
Mhm.
do that. So
Mhm.
yeah, so anyway, so that's why it's good. We're basically talking about it. The thing that takes in the audio does work for the computer, so the computer doesn't have to do all the work.
Exactly.
So that's pretty
Exactly.
much what we're talking
Yeah.
about. We can
It's very
definitely
smart.
jump into way more detail about recording
Mhm.
on another episode because
Yeah, definitely, man. I would love to. That's a thing that I love to talk about. And it's very interesting and very varied. I mean, we could go through all of the different pieces of recording equipment I've had. Dude, I've had it all. I mean, you make fun of me for having PayPal. I had
I don't make fun
I've
of you for having PayPal. Rich makes fun of you for having
Rich,
PayPal. I
yeah.
love
I've
PayPal.
I've had I've had it all. I've recorded my first demos on a cassette recorder. I mean, like a 4 channel Tascam cassette multi-track recorder. I mean, I've done it. I've gone through that to mini disc recorders. To I had 2 hard drive recorders. I remember I had 2 Fostex D160s and through 2 VC8s, Fostex VC8s, which basically were one of the very first audio to digital converters.
Oh wow.
So I had a 32 channel Mackie desk, and then I had 2 16 channel VC8s, and basically I would, and then I had 2 Fostex D160s
Hmm.
slaved together. They were basically aggregated together, um, and it gave me complete control on this Mackie analog board. It was such an old-fashioned setup, but yeah, we should definitely. I would be happy to go through my entire home studio history
Yeah, you
with
have
no
way more to
problem.
talk about with the recording gear you've had. It's clearly,
Yeah,
but I got to say though, I think I like people like you the best because it's not about the gear. You
yeah,
know the process so fucking well of recording because you've had to go through different iterations of that process throughout the years as
yeah.
technology has advanced. So, which is important.
It is. I mean, look. Here's the thing: the gear may have changed, but the job hasn't.
Nope,
Like
that's right.
nothing has changed about that. So you can, it doesn't really matter what the gear does. The gear's actually been doing the same thing from the very start.
That's right.
It's from when we were, you know, drilling and scraping information into little wax cylinders, which was the first recording. You know, ever since then, it's been doing the same thing, getting this onto there. And nothing has changed there. It's just the way that the equipment we use has changed. and people have kind of been left behind, or they've been, as soon as the computer thing started to come along, as soon as people started recording in the box with digital audio workstations, like late 80s, early 90s, I feel like the old fashioned engineer kind of maybe disappeared then a little
Hmm.
bit. But you know who remained? The producer remained, and the mixer. People like Bob Clearmountain, the guys their only job is mixing. You can't.
It's
If
an
you
art.
want a top quality mix, you got to go to one of those guys.
That's an art, man.
It's an art.
Mastering too. It's a fucking art.
Mastering, yeah,
Oh
it's an
my
art.
god.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely an art. It's not an easy art. Those guys use a lot of very expensive equipment. Now, a mastering studio doesn't look as impressive as a recording studio. It's usually like one desk and one monitor and a pair of speakers. But the equipment they have in there, man, they've got all of the stuff. They've got the best stuff.
Oh my
It's the
god.
best. Yeah.
I get excited. Yeah, I get excited about
Yeah.
audio, like about recording, and
Mm.
because you can go listen, dude. This is again topic for the next episode. But let's just say this: there are plenty. There's a culture of engineers, recording producers, drummers who are trying to capture and recreate sounds from the 70s.
Yeah.
Think about that. They're trying
Yeah.
to recreate a sound from an
Hmm.
old technology that was recorded. You know what I mean? So it's that's wild to me. That is like that's how you know like
Yeah.
music is magic.
And you know what the crazy thing is? I just purchased the last pack I purchased was by a company called Circles Drum Samples, and the name of the library it's called Dead. That's what it's called,
Oh,
Dead,
nice. I know
and
what that means.
it's all dead drum sounds, and it's
Yep.
like basically what they've done is they've tried to record nastiest way possible, kind of like reverse engineering the drum, and it's all dead. There's no reverb. It's just all dry drum sounds,
Yep.
and it's great. It sounds so good. So there's like loops, and there's samples, and there's one shots, and oh man, it's really good. It's a great program, and
I'd
it's
love to
so
hear those.
it's yeah. You should come around and hear them, man. They're good. They're really good. I mean, what I'd love to do is I'd love to take some of your tracks and just like do some triggering with these drum sounds and
Oh yeah,
see,
man.
it's crazy the things you can do with this, but it's awesome. But again, for another episode, this has been great. This has been
Yeah,
wonderful.
this is fucking fun.
A
All
lot of
right.
fun, man.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in. There's definitely a lot more. Thanks for being patient with us. We got some cool things in the works, and
We do.
particularly with this show, and we have another project, really exciting project. So that's why we've kind of been, a little incognito, I guess. So thanks for your patience. Yeah, and Paul, a pleasure as always.
Absolutely, man. Anytime.
Looking
Look forward
forward
to
to
the
the
next
next
time.
one. Yeah, man. All right, everybody. Badum biz to you.